Anti-hero movies are a plague on society that needs to be stopped. Well, at least some of them are, but don't worry because I'm here to explain the difference. Also, stick around to the end because we'll be ranking all the horrible makeshift anti-hero movies in a tier list to see which one is truly the worst of them all. Deadpool, Logan, The Suicide Squad, Ghost Rider, Peacemaker, Daredevil, Moon Knight, Guardians of the Galaxy. Just a few examples of all the movies and TV shows that have explored the complex character archetype of the anti-hero. A character that lacks the fundamentally selfless attributes of a regular hero, like choosing not to kill, risking their lives for the greater good, and putting the needs of others above their own, but still has just enough good within them to do the right thing and save the right people, all while operating in a very convenient and morally ambiguous grey area. Meanwhile, on the other side of that same coin, we have these insufferably inferior imitations of the anti-hero concept that are simply there to either beef up a poor excuse for a cinematic universe or just unnecessarily inflate the already enlarged ego of a particularly large actor. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love The Rock and his movies, but if as an actor you have a clause in your contract that says your character can never lose a fight to another character in the movie, you might just have a little teeny tiny bit of narcissist in you. Just a little bit. Putting The Rock's enormous ego aside for 1 second, if that's even possible, and I can't believe I even have to point this out, an evil villain isn't an anti-hero. He's a freaking evil villain. But these greedy and creatively bankrupt studios all want a piece of that sweet Deadpool money so much that they're actively trying to turn actual, well-known and verified on Instagram evil villains into misunderstood anti-heroes that don't really want to kill, but just do it because they were rejected by society or something. Listen, you guys, I love the Joker movie. I love it with every fiber of my being. I love how we get to explore his personal and societal struggles, how he slowly goes from being a troubled man in need of professional help and companionship to a completely deranged, unhinged and broken shell of a man that has chosen to take out his pain on the very society that caused him so much suffering in the first place. And above all else, I love that amazing scene where he takes blood from his broken nose and draws his iconic Joker smile across his face. That's all great stuff, really. But let's be honest here, the Joker is not an anti-hero. He's a freaking evil villain. Some might say the most villainous villain of them all, because you can't sit there and try and gaslight me into sympathizing with the same guy that beats Jason Todd to death with a crowbar and collapsed an entire burning warehouse on his head just after literally killing his mom. Tried to make Commissioner Gordon go insane just to prove a point almost immediately after paralyzing his daughter Barbara Gordon, and randomly kills millions of innocent people in Gotham City whenever he gets bored and just throws a tantrum to get Batman's attention. Come on now, what are we doing here? All that aside, I'm so very capable of suspending my disbelief long enough to admit that this movie is a phenomenal character study and a refreshing subversion of the formulaic nature of superhero movies today, which is why it's going on the 8th year. Now, circling back to Black Adam. Despite what The Rock wants you to think, Black Adam is not a superhero. He is the primary antagonist of an actual DC hero called Shazam. Listen to me, you guys, Black Adam is an evil villain. He's a raging sociopath that wants nothing but power and admiration and is willing to kill you to get it. There is literally an entire animated movie where he fights Superman and Shazam just to show them who's boss. Spoiler alert, it's not him. But because of his insatiable need for power and attention, The Rock did everything he could to separate Black Adam and Shazam on the big screen. Two characters that directly linked sworn rivals with the exact same powers in the comics, just so he could fight Superman in his own movie and be the new leader of the DCEU. As a result of this, he killed both franchises and finally ended the DCEU for good. The Rock and Black Adam both having the need to be the most powerful and worshipped person in the room might just be the most wholesome thing ever.
If I have the powers of the gods, then am I not a god myself? Should I not be treated as such?
Flash, Shazam, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman. Let's let them know something.
You want us to kill the leader of North Korea?
Things will never be the same, because the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change.
Is that like a personal attack or something? Or...
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
I was actually excited to see more from him as Black Adam because he fit the role quite perfectly, but he let his pride get in the way and ended up falling so badly he had to run back to the same Fast and Furious franchise he swore he'd never return to, and for that this movie gets a D. Characters like Loki, Venom, Morbius and even the upcoming Kraven movie all fall in this unfortunate category, but I feel like the issue with them goes deeper than that, because on top of being straight up villains, they are being heavily pushed on us simply because they have a connection to Spider-Man, which smoothly brings us to our next point, being that you can't make me fall in love with an unpopular and obscure character simply because they have an attachment to a superhero or IP that I already know and love. The outliers here clearly being the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy and the second Suicide Squad movie, because those were just professionally written and directed movies that were handled by a comic-loving filmmaker. Plus, the main characters weren't just straight up evil villains.
I cherish peace with all my heart. I don't care how many men, women, and children I need to kill to get it.
Well, most of them at least. Either way, you get an A, and you get an A, and you get an A. You all get A's. Morbius and Venom, on the other hand, committed all the sins because they were very bad movies. They tried to turn an evil villain into a saint. They tried to ride off of Spider-Man's popularity, and now they have another one of them coming to complete the horrible trifecta of standalone Sony Spider-Man villain movies without Spider-Man in them. This one is finally rated R, so there might just be something there, but I wouldn't hold my breath. At least Venom was somewhat enjoyable when the titular character finally showed up literally halfway into the movie, so it gets a D. And Morbius was so bad I didn't even watch it, so it gets an F. I did a full video on Venom where I started out trying to defend the movie but ended up trashing it for 10 minutes straight. One of my favorite rant videos, to be honest. Check it out after this one. Loki is particularly unforgivable because they straight up did the conversion therapy right in front of our faces, and he just followed Sylvie around the whole time. But the show wasn't completely unwatchable, so it will go on the C tier. Deadpool was the unquestionable definition of awesomeness, A tier. Venom 2 was just the epitome of trash. It had no story. It turned Venom into a clingy crybaby. It undercut Carnage by not making the movie rated R and not fleshing out his character arc or backstory in any substantial way. And the final fight had the dumbest ending on top of already being neutered by the PG-13 rating. Hard F. Logan was a great send-off to the character, and we finally got a Wolverine movie that was rated R, solid A tier. The fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey was horrible. Harley Quinn went from being oppressed by Joker to being oppressed by Blackface. Wait, is that really his name? I don't care. And the Birds of Prey were incredibly forgettable, so it didn't live up to either of his convoluted names. But Margot Robbie is always fun to watch as Harley Quinn, so she can come get this D. Deadpool 2 is one of the best sequels ever made, solid A. The first Suicide Squad movie is a bad movie on so many levels, but still fun to watch, and I personally still love the soundtrack, so it also gets a D. Peacemaker was cool, but it diluted the core aspect of the character, which was explicitly explained to us in the first movie.
I cherish peace with all my heart. I don't care how many men, women, and children I need to kill to get it.
The TV show turned him into a crying wise boy with daddy issues that hesitated every time he had to kill somebody for peace.
Peacemaker, take him out.
Even the kids?
Yes, terminate him immediately. Take the shot.
I don't care how many men, women, and children I need to kill to get it.
Which goes completely against what we established about his character in the first movie, but still very well written and enjoyable. B. Daredevil is also the epitome of awesomeness, solid A. Moon Knight had a great first episode that slowly just became another formulaic MCU project, complete with a new female character that steals his spotlight and a world-ending CGI fight. But Oscar Isaac is always fun to watch, so it goes on the C tier. I didn't find the Wolverine to be completely boring, another C tier. But X-Men Origins Wolverine sold Deadpool's mouth shut, hard F. I saw Ghost Rider when I was very young and I don't remember anything particularly bad about it, so it gets an A for nostalgia. I recently saw Catwoman and that movie has a million problems, but that cat suit ain't one. Whoo! Solid C, but she can for sure get this D. Anyway, Hollywood, stop trying to make me sympathize with sociopathic evil villains and make better anti-hero movies.